Task 71, doubling a recipe. You're baking biscuits for a group of your friends. The recipe gives you 20 to 24 biscuits. You figure out you need twice as many, so you want to double the amount of each ingredient. Multiply each item by 2. Write your answers in the spaces shown. So the recipe calls for 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. How much will you need in your doubled recipe? The original recipe calls for 2 1/4 teaspoons of fast-acting baking powder. How much will you need in your doubled recipe? The original recipe calls for 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. How much will you need in your doubled recipe? The original recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of sugar. How much will you need in the doubled recipe? The original recipe calls for 1/4 pound of butter. What will you need in your doubled recipe? And finally, the original recipe calls for 3/4 cup of milk. How much will you need in your doubled recipe? Number 2. How many biscuits will the double recipe make?